for the pressure. I don't know how to meet those standards, Rabbi. So, in order to understand this week's Torah portion, I'd like all of you to take a little journey with me. This journey we're going to go on is not only through space, through geography, throughout the world, but I'd like you to come with me also through time. And we're going to start our journey, so we know where we're going, in Israel in 2011. And then we're going to stay there and hurtle back into time about 2,500 years, back when our Torah portion was written. And then we're going to board our time and space capsule and hurtle back up to Paris, France in 1948. And then from there, we're going to come to modern-day China in 2011 with a couple of stopovers in the United States before we make our way back to where we started, Israel. So if you're ready for the journey, let's clear your minds and let's go. In the spring of 2011, some of you may remember who were here before my companion Leanne and I left for Israel. Shir Hadash gave us a nice warm send-off, and Rabbi Polish advised the congregation that what is customary to do is when people go to Israel is to give them something to bring to Israel, money, and the people who have it could make a decision as to what to do with that money. So I was surprised that the only people were giving me dollar bills, $10 bills, $5 bills, and it was like $175 of money that I had in a bag that I had this awesome responsibility what to do with when I got to Israel. So all the time I was in Israel, I said, what should I do with this money? Should I give it to a hospital? Should I give it to the poor? We had somebody we knew very well who made a lot in Israel. So we thought maybe we'll give it to them and let them decide. But ultimately, I decided, with Deanna's consultation, to donate the money to Yad Vashem, to the Holocaust Memorial Commemoration. And I actually took a photograph of, you may have seen it, of the money, the dollars dripping into the donation box at Yad Vashem. At the end of the tour, there were about 30 people in our tour, and our guide, we were one of the few Jews, and our guide said to us, would someone who's Jewish like to recite the Kaddish? And I volunteered on behalf of Shir and I never felt more connected bringing us all there and having that experience, saying Kaddish at Yad Vashem connected with us. So what does this have to do with the Torah portion for today? KT Chart is a series of commandments or prescriptions about how human beings should treat each other. It deals with a wide range of things, dealing with personal hygiene, how to treat people who are captives in war, how to remember the dead, the responsibility of the community to the poor, the elderly, the young. When it's looked at as an historic document, it is one of the first of its kind, which has as its foundation the respect for and the dignity of all life. It also introduces the idea that the measure of a community is how it treats its more vulnerable members, the poor, the sick, and the young. It also calls upon us to remember the victims of human violence. One of the last passages says, do not forget those who have died at the hands of our mother. But Tisha is more than that. It is perhaps the first writings that seek to articulate a universal set of values that apply to all people. That these values do not originate with a particular ruler or government. They come from God. If you look at that and compare it to other documents that have existed in that time and place, you know, it is a marked advancement. Some of you in school may remember studying ancient civilizations and read Hammurabi's Code or the writings of ancient Samaria. You're nodding your head like that. You know, but these documents were very rigid and harsh punishments. And more than that, they pertain to different people. So if you were rich, you were treated one way. If you were poor, you were treated another way. If you were a slave, you were treated another way. This was a marked change. Our Torah portion today was unique also because it put forth the notion that there's a universal law derived from God, or if you're not a religious person, you know, there's some glue that binds human civilizations. And that is what I find as significance. Now, as a word of caution, and it's brought up in our Del Torah study here, as we look back at this time from the lens of the 21st century, you know, we might be a little shocked. There's a lot of homophobia, there's gender bias, there's abuse of animals, and you know, and there are still harsh punishments. You mentioned stoning and so forth. But before we get too critical, I wonder how our ancestors in Sinai would look at our world today. The 20th century, which we left 10 years ago, was the most violent in human history. The Shoah, the Holocaust, was just one of the extreme examples of that violence. The deaths in World War II numbered 80 million human beings. They're still counted today, in 2011, uncovering people who were killed. And what made that atrocity even greater was the fact that more of these people were civilians. They were non-combatants. They were the most vulnerable in society. Those who didn't conform to religious beliefs, those who were the poor, the elderly, the sick.